But yeah, I'm Eugene Byrd, and I'm an artist primarily. That's just always what I do. Everything revolves around art, and I'm a gallery owner and curate shows, basically. Graphic designer, screen printer, but primarily art at the top, and you know, in art and culture through the event space.
Man, man, if they don't know, man, you one of the one of the top artists in Atlanta, in my opinion. You got a lot of great things. But what really got you into that industry? What got you into pushing yourself as an artist and an entrepreneur?
I mean, I've always been an artist. I always wanted to be an artist. You know, I just had to still grow into that, but that was always a goal. And it was always came down to like, this is what I like to do. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm interested in. And this is the way I express myself. And being an artist itself is by default, you're just going to be an entrepreneur just because you're an artist, because you're creating a product and trying to sell it, market it, or have it be seen. So just being a creative automatically makes you an entrepreneur. And then so I've just been blessed to be able to have businesses that are associated with art. It was really just out of necessity of just wanting to create and show art, and was able to like monetize the culture around that, basically.
Most definitely, most definitely. So I talk about market research a lot. That's actually module 2 in our program. When it comes to market research, who do you look up to? What artists do you actually look up to that inspire you, if you have any?
Yeah, I definitely got artists that inspire me visually, but they're like usually like some of the older artists. And then I got some artists locally that inspire me just from doing the art. But honestly, most of my inspirations come from what you barking at? Most of my inspirations come from uh, kind of how artists move and how they network and what they do for the community, and just kind of seeing like the survival skills of being an artist. So those are the things that I kind of look at. And being in Atlanta, there's a lot of entrepreneur hustler spirit, which you have to be. So like one of the ones that I kind of model some of my business around as far as my spaces is like Maya Bailey and from Atlanta. But when it comes to like the art, it's like Frida Kahlo, Diego, uh, and a slew of other artists too that I'm just kind of drawing a blank on. But printmakers, visually, but a lot of times I try not to look at a lot of art to not have it influence me too much, but definitely like how they move, how they just surviving and associating with in that whole art world. Like how do I keep getting my name brought up type of vibe. I kind of lost your audio. Yeah, I can't hear you. Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
So I was just saying, definitely shout out to Larry Bailey. He's definitely been doing some great things in the community. You guys is definitely some great inspirations when it comes to just the art community in the Atlanta area, and just in the Southeast area. Period, man. You guys have been doing some great things. So when it came to really putting together your plan, what did you see that really set yourself apart from your competitors?
Well, it was honestly like so when you're doing like culture and lifestyle stuff, like the thing that always sets you apart is you, the individual, and like the more that you recognize that, like the more things will start come naturally. So I really just had to like channel like things that I like, and the dog been quiet all day. been quiet all day. And then so like in that, what you really got to realize, like in the lifestyle business, what sets you apart is you. You know, so the more you start to find yourself and be confident with yourself, like it kind of fuels it. So like from art, I wanted to treat artists and do things that I liked, and come in and involve artists and kind of the way that I felt unseen. Like I wanted to make other people feel seen because I experienced that. So like just kind of being from experiences, and the more honest you are, so that's kind of what organically shaped it. And I'm still kind of going through that now, like as I'm evolving, not losing sight of that is like, like if you're creating the lifestyle and the vibe, you gotta, really make yourself vulnerable in all these situations.
Man, vulnerability, that's
Yeah,
definitely key for sure. That's
yeah,
definitely key for sure. That's a big one. I think that's something that, especially when it comes to the creative space, a lot of creators have trouble with because we have this stigma where you gotta be bigger than life. You gotta show people that you balling all the time and you popping bottles and you living life. And I think sometimes it's not all about that. And I think, throughout my experience, the more people I've seen be vulnerable on the other side of it to show both sides, I think, they've seen a little bit more success because that's what people really want to see. They want to see the real. And, I think that's really where really set, most of the greats apart. They're not afraid to, separate themselves and be vulnerable and show people like, hey, this is what it really is. Like, hey, we can turn up and have fun as well. But hey, let's also show, when times get rough, which hey, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure you know a lot about that for sure.
yeah, definitely.
So, what's one of your most memorable customer interactions you've had, and how did it impact your approach?
Well, it's when, and because I do a lot of different things, it kind of comes from different areas. But the thing that kind of keeps me going, and when I think of customer, like it's kind of hard because like with art, you don't really, even though they are customers, because you understand there's business and there's some retail aspect, but you don't really think of them as customers per se. So like the people that impacted me are kind of really young artists. Like it comes from a curation standpoint. So like when you're doing shows and curating as an artist myself, it's always a give and take between providing opportunities for myself and providing for others. So sometimes you're like, man, I just need to focus on myself. But when I involve curation with other artists and those artists feel seen, especially if they get a sell and it motivates them and drives them, those are kind of the things that make me keep going. And it also reminds me of what I'm doing. And it reminds me of my position in life. So I always got to remind myself to stay active and stay busy. And those things just kind of shape it organically. And those are the things that kind of stand out to me. Of course, like money and associations are big key moments. And associations help breed bigger opportunities because it makes people seem like you got your stuff together the more and more other people associate with you. But really, it's those real interactions that, because I would going on like, just refocusing and kind of not putting my energy into a certain standpoint, but those interactions with an artist, like when they genuinely like be like, man, what you're doing is important. Like those are the things that keep shaping it and keeping me going, especially from a like a local level.
Most definitely. That's what I love about you, man. You definitely it's deeper than just the art. It's deeper than just making a sale with you. And I seen that from day one. Especially with all the different types of events that you put on. Just seeing your art gallery and just the venues that you have and how you set them up and open the doors for the community to come in and be one. It's definitely something deeper for sure. And then I think that's something that I appreciate the most about you for sure. So, real quick, we always talk about operations and logistics, which is module 7 within our program. Can you describe a significant operational challenge you faced and how you overcame it to improve your efficiency?
Man, like operations is key, and it's always a work in progress. And like the challenges with that I face like currently, like, and it seems like I face it all the time. Is like just with the like landlord stuff and So it's, and just really at that base level when you come into arts and culture, and just kind of keeping it going. And then the other thing, once you get past that, because ownership is key. So like a lot of times, like I haven't been in a position to own my spaces, so that just becomes a problem operational, just maintaining the space itself. And then other than that, it's like that energy of like our shows really pop like once a month. So if I'm doing something once a month, I'm actually active. But in the grand scheme of things, like once a month is kind of slow. So then it's like, okay, how can you challenge that type of operational thing that I have to deal with from event space? And then there's a whole other thing is being an artist. But those are the main things that I have to deal with and that I try to overcome. And then so like some of that is overcome through help, you know what I'm saying? And providing like it's a mutual thing. Like to give people opportunity is cool and all, but it's also like allowing helping me with my operation by giving people opportunity. So it's like one of those things that's double sided. Like it's good, it's a good deed and it's needed. So like that helps with my operation as well. But it's always changing with the time. My thing is I try to stay organic because it's always changing. So the moment I feel like my operational energy is spent in one aspect, it like switches so fast. So it's like in the real world of business, it's kind of ongoing to get better at operations. But having a good place and ownership is, that's definitely where the future goes because that gives you more of a tunnel vision and confidence to put all your money into one direction. So that's kind of a challenge that I currently have, and we'll see how I overcome it.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I think we always gonna stay a student to the game. You know, that's what it's all about. So, you know,
Yeah,
I love that. You know, like you said before, it's all about just being, vulnerable enough to be transparent and really recognize, especially when it comes to your dream. I think it's super hard for us to, just be real with ourselves and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, I do need some help. And I think, that next step is finding the right help is super hard, but
yeah.
making that first step to realize like, hey, I need a little bit of help, right now. I think that's super big, but it's a process of finding the right people and putting the right pieces together. So I definitely commend you on that for sure.
And then also, like, you also got this thing of not trying to be like uh, oversaturating too, because like your audience, like when you cater into like an audience, like sometimes it's good to fall back. So like sometimes it's like judging that too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Most definitely.
I need to fall back, but then how do I fall back without it affecting my pockets? You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's huge. That's huge for sure. So speaking of pockets, this is a huge one that we always, talk about when I'm consulting different businesses and talking to different business owners. Is actually module number 9, which is funding and investment. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs seeking funding for the first time based on your own experience?
Man, when you're really trying to get real funding, it's all about just having your business legitimized. So like you can't even really hardly talk it if your business is not legit. And there's still some legitimate, some things that I everybody need to tighten up on some things, but when you can't even really talking about funding until you do that. So like, and it's like having a business license and your LLC and just kind of all those basic things, or even just having a business statement, business profile. So you really got to get to a level to even be ready for the funding. But then the easiest way to get funding is instead of getting your business funded, have your events funded. So like we're always a big, that's always my thing about like you need to. That's the thing about throwing events. People will give you money to throw events, but more so than they'll just give you money for your business. So then when you throw that event, then you squeeze some money out of that event grant for your business. So that's always been my motto. Either an event or I'm gonna do some art. Like get them some art idea funded, and then I'm gonna do the budget, and I'm just going to maneuver the budget to where like some of that money goes into my pocket to fund these big grand ideas I got. uh, so like And then it also gives you an idea of the funding structure. So when you do want to get like a real business loan funded, because really like that's kind of position I am too. Like it's really hard uh, to grow without capital. That's just facts. Or you just go keep working like I do. Like, I'm a worker bee, so I don't want to keep working. So it comes down to funding. And then it's like, okay, once I get that funding, like I got to make it flip. So then there's still a level of stress. So when you do get the funding, like honestly, like if you get like 100 racks right now, you're like, oh, that's good. But then you got to be real smart about what you do with that 100 racks. Otherwise, that 100 racks will be a problem. Because even 100,000, you think like, oh, 100,000, but 100,000 is really still not a lot in business, you know.
Yeah,
Uh, so like, I always recommend, like, especially at your starting out. I'm about to start my hustle level. You do some events and get those events funded, and that's kind of the easiest way. Then you just got to be smart and squeeze some money up out of there to fund it. And other than that, it's just like you just got to hustle, and fund your business through your hustle. You know.
lace some boots, lace some boots.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like you got to have a hustle mentality. Like,
Definitely. And
yeah,
I think you said a key factor when it came to making sure that you're ready for the funding. Making sure that you have a proper business structure, a proper business plan, some type of plan. It ain't got to be super thought out. I know a lot of successful business owners that really, didn't have a thought out, super extensive business plan, but having some type of plan on how are you going to utilize that funding once you get it. Because even back, with the pandemic around 2020, we was helping a lot of people get the PPP funding, and a lot of those people, ran through that money because they didn't have a plan. And but for the handful that did have a strong plan, man, they're still seeing the benefits and reaping the benefits to this day. So that's definitely a key factor for sure. And the project based funding, that's something that we talked about before, and it was a great confirmation because especially when it comes to these grants, you really don't see a lot of, like you said, you don't really see a lot of opportunity where people just want to fund your business alone. You definitely want to have something that's show them how you giving back to the community. Whether it's project based, event based, whatever the case may be. So that's a great key factor for sure, man. That's a jewel. So hey, for the people in the back, you heard them, man. Make sure you guys, first of all, have your business structured properly, and be ready for that funding. I always like to tell our members, you have to be ready for the success. Set yourself up for the success, before we receive the blessing. So that's a great one for sure. So real quick, when it comes to scaling and growth, what key factor contributed most to your business growth? And how did you identify and capitalize on the opportunity?
well, for me, the biggest scale was, like I said, like my business is like art, so like my business is kind of me as an artist. But so the biggest thing that scaled like me as an artist was the physical buildings, like getting into real space, and so like it just gave me an opportunity to show my art and just host events. And then from there, I just figured out how to make money by having the spaces. Uh, so that was an important part for me to scale, because as an artist, and you know if you're a painter and you're an artist, like, and you can still maneuver through social media and through your connections, but if you got work that needs to be shown, like you're dependent on someone showing the work, like you're depending on the space that's supporting you and showing the work. So like in some degree, like, your career is in not in someone else's control, but it's so dependent on like other people. So like I didn't really, no one really likes that. So like when the space is and some people don't mind, because honestly, could be a good thing too. But when the opportunity came up for me to have spaces, though, I always just kind of jumped on it. And there's usually opportunities in the city, or at least Atlanta. You just gotta be willing to take on a little debt and not be scared of the moment. So for me, that's just what I was able to do. And then it was like how to figure that out and how to make money. So then it goes from events to also just renting out the space, and letting the space make money for me and making a little easy money. and then from there, like scale. Uh, like for me, like I don't want to like scale too much, honestly. Like so, it's not all about scale. It's just more about getting more money, like doing the same thing and the same level of activity, but getting more money for the same amount of activity that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I need to scale up and get more jobs. No, no, I need to get more money for what I'm doing. Like I need to scale my income. So as far as like scaling, like in growth, because to tell you the truth, like where I am, I don't really want a lot of that responsibility that comes with managing that. Like it gets to be like I'm living for it, like that whole rat race thing. So like I'm constantly trying to figure out like how can I make more money doing less. So it's like scaling income, but like scaling back at the same time, and that's where I am too going into this new year. Like man, I can't just disappear into the night, but I don't want to ramp up. I just want to like ramp up that income and with less people and less work.
Work smarter, not harder. I love it, and that's a huge one. I don't think I think a lot of people. I think because you got a lot of experience, of course you realize that, but I don't think a lot of startups really realize that. I think a lot of people think because they're so busy, they're scaling, and they don't really equate. It's all about meeting your goals,
Yeah.
and I think that's super big to really realize. And I think that goes back to having a plan. I think really once you know really realize and map out your goals, and map out how you're going to get there. It's not all about doing more necessarily. It's about making more money for sure, and doing making sure that you have a great balance when it comes to still having to enjoy your personal life too. Because
Yeah.
what we're doing this for, if we can't enjoy our personal life, our family, our friends, go on trips without having to worry about it, I think we all get put in that situation where it's like, oh man, I'm busy, I'm booked and busy, but I'm not scaling. I'm not really making more money. I'm just more busy, and I see that a lot, especially in Atlanta, man, where it's damn near event every single day, and it's like, well, if we really, and I've said this so many times, if everybody can really come together and scale down these events, we'll have bigger events instead of a bunch of smaller events that you might come to. You might do 5 events in a day networking, and half of those events only had like 20 people. You know what I mean? Versus all of us coming together and doing one big event maybe once a month, and really ramping up that opportunity. So that's a great that's super great. Matter of fact, if you guys are on the live, man, throw some fire signs in the chat, man, because he definitely dropped the jewel with that scaling. Because like I said, it's a lot of I think a lot of people get that misconstrued and think they just have to do more. I think that's what I love about AI and all of the technology that's coming out. And I think that's where we at as well. It's not about getting. Um, and I was actually talking to my partner about this. It's not actually about getting the most members possible, because we don't want to get it to the point where we're not giving that same value because we got a bunch of people that we're overseeing. We want to make sure that we have the right people within our community, and then we can really get those results that we're looking for. So, we have gotten to the point where it's just like, per month, we're only going to be taking a certain amount of applications per month, and really scaling it down so we can actually get, just more, and making sure our members get more for their book, and, making sure, because we're very hands on too. And I think, what you do is very hands on. So it's super important for that, for sure.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset and leadership. Um, you know, you know, this month we're focusing on module 1, which is the introduction to entrepreneurship. But it really goes back to module 11, which is the entrepreneurial mindset and leadership. Um, how has your mindset evolved as a leader, and what practices do you incorporate to maintain a positive entrepreneurial spirit?
Uh, I mean, like I still kind of wrestle with the fact, like a lot of times I tell you, like I I mean, I'm realizing now, like this is something I'm kind of contemplating with too, like that whole term of being a leader and shit. You know, a lot of times I like pop in and pop out, like, but at the same time, like, I just realized, like, yo, that is the position, you know. So like, I still kind of wrestle with that, but like, I'm going through that now, like this year, like being more like, because everything revolves around like the way it's structured with the lifetime brand, like everyone looks at it as a leader standpoint. So everything goes based off of me at the end of the day. So like I have to be present. I have to do this. So like this is the position that I'm in. So like I'm coming back to that like leadership mentality. A lot of times I just like to fall into the back, but still leading, but you know you know what I'm saying? Like just kind of trying to let it just organically just do its thing, and shit don't really work like that.
Yeah.
Or it works like that for like a little while because people are fucking with you for a reason, and then so like you know I'm kind of getting back into that, but it kind of shifts and sways. And I'm sorry, man, I know I got distracted. What was the nature of the question again?
So yeah, I mean, basically, how has your mindset evolved as a leader, and what practices do you incorporate to maintain a positive, entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, so like the I definitely try to make it be it has to be positive. Like first of all, like unless you're in a position that you can really just pay people like what they're really worth, you know, you got to do positive. Even if you can't pay them, it should be positive. But like with the artists and creatives, like I just know as a creative myself, like I just kind of know the language of what people want, and it's really getting their ideas and be able to express something. So when I work with people, I provide them with opportunities to be seen and be able to do that. uh, you know, because that's just kind of important. And also just to listening to people's, you know, listening to people and try to put them in a position to succeed. And then also the reality of it is like I got to put people in positions to get paid a little bit. You know, it's like if they're spending time, even though they're getting something out of it, but I understand like they're helping me in my endeavors. Even though people would do it for free a lot of times, is like I got to figure out a way to get people paid. You know what I'm saying, on a consistent basis, because also that keeps your relationship going and keeps it just from like people keep popping in and out of my organization. Like I only need like a few real people, down people, to really make some big noise. That's the good thing about it. Really, if you got like 3 or 4 down people, y'all can do some shit. You
Yeah,
know, so that person's at the top. Anytime like there's something going on, they know they're getting a little bit of money out of it. It may not be enough to pay their rent, but like when they came out, you know, they put a little something in their pocket. You know, don't nothing go longer than that, unfortunately. Like, you can do all the good vibes and shit you want, but you
man.
got people in a position to get paid because this is America, you know, like shit is high and
Yeah,
time is money. But other than the money, like you definitely in a position, like if you're around me, like there's opportunities for you to do some shit. Now, if you think I'm gonna like, I can't be in a position to like bring it up out of you, but it's like I got spaces. We do shit on the weekends. Like you got some ideas. I might not be able to do whatever idea you want, especially like if I'm like in that brand building mode like I am now. Like everything has to like fit within the brand of what I want to do. But if it does, like, let's do this shit, you know. And then there's a way that you make money. And I'm the type I'll really like fall back too. Like I'm kind of that leader. Like I'm kind of gonna just vibe out and just kind of I'm reading you. Like I'm definitely reading all the time as that leader position. And like if there's an opportunity and you don't say you didn't do what you said you was gonna do, I may not even say shit, but you may not get that opportunity again. You know, that's just kind of how it is. Like I'm big on word, you know, like and following up. So that's kind of my leadership style, is like leading by example. But but yeah, so that's just kind of where I
yeah,
kind of take that standpoint, man, and try to give people opportunity, like artists, creatives, musicians, or whatever, like because that's who I usually work with, or photographers. You know, they want to be, you know, they're not just they're not AI. You know, you talk about AI, it's like we
yeah,
do humans. Like you cannot treat these people like they don't have uh, some interest, you know, like what's going to feed them. Like, and I'm kind of good on being conscious of that, is giving people opportunity to do something, and then uh, like I said, and give them opportunities to also like. It's not like never get the opportunity again, but uh, there is opportunities to grow and fail and also grow. But yeah, I'm
Definitely.
definitely working on being more vocal to as a leader too. Like it's not being like letting people like sometimes you can predict when something's about to happen and I'll just watch that shit play out. But I'm gonna be like, a little more hands on going forward to tell you the truth.
No, I love it. I mean, I think that's what really make you great as a leader. One, and this is something I always talk about, providing opportunity for somebody else. Like I always tell people, like people don't care what your business is for the most part. It's self interest. Like, how can you benefit them?
Yeah,
In some sort of way.
yeah,
And I think throughout my years, especially working in Atlanta, and that being our main market, I think a lot of people get the collaboration word misconstrued. And I really hate it. And it's to the point I hate the word collaboration because most of the time it's just one sided. And I think if we had more thought into, well, how are you going to benefit? Okay, I know how I'm going to benefit, but how can I benefit you? I think we'll be able to build a lot more solid relationships. We need to get out of that, you guys. Whether you're in Atlanta or wherever you at, always think about how you can benefit somebody else. And that's why I always love, a matter of fact, speaking of that, make sure you guys blow up that chat, post, you know how is your benefit, how is your business actually benefiting the community. It's not just about you making money, or you being the flyers, or you getting the most contacts out here. How are you actually benefiting the community and the people that's around you? Your employees, your guests, your customers. How are you actually benefiting them? I think that's what it's a thin line. I think that's what really makes and create strong leaders. We always figuring out different ways to benefit the people around us. But you all also want to have that balance, because you don't want to just overwhelm yourself and get to the point where people is taking advantage of you either. So it's a crazy balance. So real quick, this is my last question, and this really I'm going to touch on module 12 when it comes to presentation, because I always tell people presentation is everything. What is the most important lesson you've learned about pitching your business effectively?
uh, one of I think you got to control. You got to have the narrative, and I'm still shaping my narrative too. So like if you're pitching your business, you really just want to have your narrative down. And the thing about it, like the narrative constantly changes. So like you're kind of as you go on, you feel like it's always evolving. Like if I write a narrative like 6 months from now, it's gonna kind of feel like it's outdated. But like you got to keep, you got to be able to have that story though, in pitching it effectively. But see, it's a little different though because I don't really feel like I am a business, so I don't really feel like it's a pitch though. Like as an artist, like it kind of comes across like I mean, sometimes you do think of it like that, but I don't want to go. I don't really move around thinking about that though. So like, I don't really feel like I have a good pitch or need a pitch. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this is like it, and it's in at the moment, and what I'm doing, I'm focusing on that. So like, I think the pitch for me, and I think a pitch that even goes down to business, is just being like the more honest you can be, and the more like you can be about like true to whatever you're doing. So like if like if, what there's certain things that you can like hustle at. You're like this is a good hustle and I can make some money, and I'm not really into it, but I know like this is kind of buzzing right now. So that's kind of like a different philosophy. And then like so you'll have a pitch to that, but when you're doing something that you really believe into, and like I really like this. So even if it's like doing nails or something, but you really fuck with it and you have something unique about your approach to it, like that's just the best thing to do. So it comes across as a pitch, but it's just really not. But you anytime you like do something, it's almost like a pitch. But like I don't really pitch products like that anymore. But when you get in funding, because I know a lot of this, some of these are about funding, you got to pitch like, so my pitch when I come to funding is about community based. So that's kind of is my pitch when I'm going after money. It's like, this is what's needed for the community. It's arts and culture. I'm doing this, seeing Black kids create, having that visual, it's super important. And also you do got to lean into, uh, like whatever it is that's unique. So like I think Black is still understated. So I'm always going to lean into that. So as a pitch, like, even though diversity programs are going away, there's still people who do still want to appeal to a marginalized community. So, sometimes that pitch comes from being Black, or it comes from being whatever topic I'm talking about for whatever project I'm doing, or like if I'm pitching if I'm pitching an event, whatever the event's about, I'm pitching the emotional need or community need based off that. So I guess my pitch is kind of community based. But then when it comes to art, it's just about honesty, vulnerability, diving into Black issues. I think if you're a woman, like, you know, and women issues are important, then you lean into that. Like what is this stand? What do you stand for? Like, because everybody's selling something. So I think, that is essentially my pitch is kind of what I do and what I bring for the community and what I believe in. And then other than that, like, uh, you know, the work, the work I've done in the past, like the proof is in the pudding shit like that, because that's so important too. Like people will have a good idea, but people don't want to waste money or opportunity. So, cataloging the things I've done in the past when I'm looking for funding is a big part of my pitch. It's like the portfolio, the examples. So whatever you do, you got to be conscious of documenting the things that you do. Like even if it's from a small scale, just kind of documenting it. Uh, and if for some people it might be like social, like they'll lean on their social, like if they got a good social thing. So you kind of lean on those things to put it like within like a business type of pitch. But other than that, like, those are the things that I kind of do. It's definitely leaning on the community because that's the type of person I am and what I think and how I think what I'm expressing is good for someone who might need to hear it. So whatever it is, like whatever this art topic, this can mean something to somebody, or this can give someone an opportunity. So it's kind of those good vibes from being able to express yourself. But when you got a business, because I had several businesses, it's completely different. Like so, that pitch will change, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's a product or something. Like if I'm focusing on ecom, which that's what I want to do, it's completely different because I can't talk about community and shit. Like if I'm really pushing something through an ecom platform, there's nothing community about ordering something, So then it kind of changes, and you might go from just a lifestyle to like a cool, be you want to be hip type of vibe, and all that and that type of message and narrative. So it just kind of changes to what you're doing, but mainly for artists, it's just about like, look, like this is what I need to say, and, and this is who I am, and I'm me. Hey, I'm an artist. Like I'm serious about what I do and what I say. So that's what that honesty. Like I think, like in business too, like we got to scale down the bullshit and like and take it down to like just an honest, real level. Like people actually respond to that, especially like because there's so much smoke and mirrors. So like the more you simplify it and just get right to the meat of it, and like I think that's the best way to go. Like even if you do have a product, like just kind of just just be real and direct to the point and honest. And if your honesty is like whatever it is, like it doesn't have to be even positive, but it's honest. It's an honest approach for you. It's honest in what you do. Like just be real with that shit, and I think it's gonna see through.
I agree. I think that's I'll talk about this all the time when it comes to storytelling, and it goes back to being vulnerable as well. But tell your story and be organic. And that's why even with our campaigns lately, not just lately, but for the last few years, we've really been leaning more towards organic marketing, organic content, because I think we in the time right now that people can really just peep the fake so quick.
Yeah,
The stage commercials. the movie magic. It's getting easier and easier to beat because it's so much out of so much out here. And just like you said, there's so many smoke and mirrors. A lot of people have been burnt and tricked with these smoke and mirrors. So I think we getting to the point where people don't want to see that shit no more. Like people
No,
want to see real people. They want to build real relationships. I was talking about this back in 2020 and before 2020. I think the pandemic really put us in a situation where I was able to show that I was right this whole time because it put us in a position where we was only relying off of real relationships. All the fake smoke and mirrors was gone because nobody wasn't doing anything. Everybody had to sit down, and it forced us to create and lean on these real relationships. And that I think that was the best thing that we got out of the pandemic. And now, fast forward, it's all about being organic, being yourself. You don't have to wear a suit and tie all the time. You know what I mean? Show yourself wearing that jumpsuit, that sweatsuit. Your days off when you ain't got your hair cut or your hair done. I think people want to see that a lot more nowadays, and it's hard, because at the same time, people do still want to see the glitz and glam. They still want to, they don't want to listen to anybody that's struggling, for the most part. But
no,
uh,
they don't.
yeah, they don't want to hear your sob stories. But at the same time, balancing that out and showing, if you are going to show, a negative time in your life, show you overcoming it and show them how to overcome it because people is looking for that. It's a lot of people in your same predicament. So I'm really, lately we've been leaning a lot towards, doing more interview style commercials, and showing the faces, and the stories behind these brands, behind these businesses, because it's super important. And actually, we've been seeing a lot more feedback, because people, it's just what people want to see. So, um, real quick, man, I just want to thank you, man, for taking the time, man, to hop on. I know you got a lot going on. You got a busy schedule, man. So, this is definitely always an honor just chopping it up with you every time. Even when there's nobody around, we chopping it up one on one. Every time after that conversation, I'll be like, man, I rock with Eugene, man. So I love what you're
I
doing,
appreciate it. Appreciate
and
it.
the community need people like yourself. So that's what we want to show. We want to show real movers and shakers, real role models in the community. And that's what we've been doing. So I definitely want to thank you for that. Real quick, man, let the people know where they can find you and purchase some of your pieces, and let them know what you got coming up.
Yeah, you can find me at IG. That's always the easiest thing in this current climate. The website is eugenebyrd.com, and then my art IG is Eugene Byrd Art at yeah, just Eugene Byrd Art, and also check out Railroad, like Railroad UG, because it really for me everything's kind of shifting to Railroad. Don't think I'm gonna have the gallery much longer. I'm gonna focus on Railroad and bring real art and culture to that space, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I'm going through like a rebrand, and yeah, so definitely check out Railroad. And when you was talking about uh, the stories too, also it's important to kind of have like I'm kind of teetering on the faceless marketing too, which that's kind of popping a lot too. So I might try to push the ideal at Railroad and the narrative, and I kind of want to stay at the forefront and push myself more forward when it comes to my art. So it's like it's constantly changing, but yeah, definitely you can find me at Railroad UG, like Railroad Underground, and Eugene Byrd Art. Big love and respect to the mob. You know what I'm saying? Much respect, brother. Keep doing what you're doing.